Hello, I'm Catherine and this is my garden, which is in a village in Oxfordshire in the UK. My garden's about the size of a tennis court with a wall most of the way round, so it's nice and sheltered. And I've got this dedicated cutting area that I put in about 18 months ago. And my mission is to fit as many flowers in as possible in the 6 raised beds. I had 5, but I've managed to squeeze another one in. Today I thought I'd just talk you through the dahlias I'm growing for this season and the reason that I've chosen them, and then at the end I'm going to show you an easy way that you can propagate them. I was going to film it all outside, but it's a bit showery, so I think we're going to go over to my summer house. So come with me. I call it a summer house. That makes it sound quite glamorous, but it really isn't. It's kind of a glorified shed, as you'll see when we get there. I also use it for taking photographs of my flowers, which is why I have it set up with this blind here, which usually covers all the rubbish down there, and a sheet there, and then I use this as a backdrop. So I've got 2 orders, one from Farmer Gracie and one from Sarah Raven, and I haven't opened them yet, so I'm going to be unboxing them now. But I've made a few notes of my orders and the reasons, so I can talk you through that. Here's the Farmer Gracie box. Couldn't find my knife, so I'm using a screwdriver if necessary. And I think this one will just rip open. So I think I've ordered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think, from Farmer Gracie. And I've mostly chosen the ball or pom-pom variety because those are the best for cutting. They tend to have sturdier stems and they last longer in the vase, so all here for that. And I've got several of a similar sort of colour story. We have brown sugar and copper boy, which are quite similar. Brown sugar is described as copper red brown, and copper boy is burnt orange, but that's quite similar, isn't it? And this one's taller. This one's about 1 metre and this one's about 80 centimetres. But I will show you. I'll put pictures up as we go along so you can see what they look like. So those are going to be cutting ones. Daisy Duke, I think that's actually described as a decorative. It's a little bit fuller than a ball, and it has a beautiful sort of corally pink flower, and I'll probably put this in my border, but I'll see if it's good for cutting. It's supposed to produce a lot of bloom, so that's another good thing to look out for. And then we have Cornell Bronze and Jowie Frambo. Cornell Bronze is described as a dusky orange. It's warm, but it's not sort of in your face bright warm. It's supposed to be a little bit muted. A ball one again, and that's quite a tall one. That grows to 120. And Jowie Frambo, that's a really popular one. It's a very beautiful sort of pale copper, warm pink. Another ball one, and how tall does that get? That gets, well, it says it's between 70 and 100, so that's quite a range, isn't it? But taller than some. And then my last ball one is Happit Frambo, and that's quite a vivid colour, sort of raspberry pink, but a slight sort of bluey pink to it, I'd say. It's supposed to have particularly good strong stems, so again very good for cutting, and that will grow up to 1 metre tall. So those are all ball ones, all for cutting. And then I've got a couple that are more the sort of looser flowers. I've got Great Silence and Rembrandt. And Great Silence, according to my notes, is coral and gold. It's almost a sort of dinner plate one because it has a large head. So they can be a little bit challenging if you want to use them in flowers, but very beautiful. And then Rembrandt is Water Lily, which if I had to choose one form is my favourite. I think they're very beautiful. And the colour is described as candy pink. And that's quite a short one, that only grows to about 50 centimetres. So I will probably put that one in a pot. I've got a few that I'm going to put in the pot. So those are all my Farmer Gracie orders. And then this is my Sarah Raven order. I've been keeping them, I've had these a few weeks, some of these, and I've been keeping them in a cool, dark place until I'm ready to actually pop them up. So there's more of a variety here for these ones. I've got several single ones and ones that I want to have in pots rather than for cutting. Ooh, I must have chosen 3 of those. It's a while since I've ordered. I've forgotten how many I've got. So this one is After Dusk, and that's another water lily. I said I'm a sucker for those, but a really dark red one. I know not everybody likes the dark ones, but I like all the colours really. And that, how tall is that? That is described, I mean, yes, dark reddy, blackish colour, about 75 centimetres. So kind of medium one. And then this one is Labyrinth two-tone. Labyrinth is a very popular one, again described as a dinner plate. I think technically they're described as a decorative, but this one is a beautiful off-white and soft mauve. So I think that's going to be really spectacular in the border. How tall is that? Well, that's a tall one, about 120. This is French Can-Can, another decorative one. It's orange, but not a sort of in-your-face orange, and it has crimson on the back of the petals, so you get a beautiful two-tone effect. That's another tall one, 120, so too tall to put in a pot unless you've got a huge pot, so that will go in the border. What I got, oh, I'm glad I got 3 of these, because when you see from the photo, looks a real stunner. It's called Mango Madness, and that's described as a decorative dinner plate, and it's a sort of soft apricot, but it's got these sort of smoky shades that go through it and looks really beautiful. So that will go in my border. I've left quite a few in my border from last year. Obviously I don't know whether everything survived until I dig 1 or 2 up and have a look. So as an insurance policy, so that I'm not without too many dahlias, because that would be a disaster, wouldn't it? I've probably over ordered, but then we all do that, don't we? How tall is that one? That's about 90 centimetres. And then this one is called Dahlia tricolor, and it's a new sort that's been bred specifically for containers because it's quite compact. But you know, the beautiful single daisy ones, they always flower really well. The insects love them, and they come in an amazing range of colour. And then we have Verone's Obsidian, which again is a very fashionable one. It's that really, really dark, almost blackcurranty colour with quilled petals, so it looks like a star. About 75 centimetres. And they're actually called, I hadn't realised this till I looked it up, they're called orchid style, the very narrow ones. And then finally, another daisy one, I think it's just called Happy Kiss. And what colour is that? That's peach, again with sort of a crimson in the, you'll see in from the picture, crimson around the centre. I thought that looked a really pretty combination. I really like pinks and oranges and crimson all together in one thing. And how that, again, that's a short one, 45 centimetres, so that will go in a pot. That's nice, the sun's come out, you've even got some blue sky. So I've come outside to show you what I'll be doing, both with the dahlias that I've bought, I'll be doing that quite soon, and the ones that I've overwintered, and a way of, you can propagate and get some more. This one is Sylvia, which will produce an awful lot of flowers, and I'm actually going to divide that up before I put that on, so I'll show you that another time. But this one, which is one called Crazy Legs, kind of water lily one, really beautiful two-tone one. It's not very big, but I'd love to have some more of it, so I'm going to pop this up and then propagate from it. So couldn't be easier. I've got a 3-litre pot. I've got my mixture of compost with vermiculite and perlite just to help with drainage and partly to make the compost go a bit further as well. It just seems to be a good formula that works quite well for me. And I'm going to put, I've cut off I kept some of the stems over winter, but I've cut those off now. I will leave those a little bit proud because I don't want too much moisture to go in there, because that's the danger now. You don't want them to rot. It's kind of the danger all over winter as well. I've been quite lucky with mine that they've been in my garage, and none of them so far. I haven't inspected every single one, but they don't seem to have rotted at all. So I'm pleased about that. So it couldn't be easier. So I've left the stalks a little bit proud. Stick the label back in, one of the most important things. And then I'll give it a good water now, but then I won't water it much at all because it only wants to be just the barest bit damp. And then in a couple of weeks I hope we'll start to get shoots coming out, and then you take those with a little bit of the tuber as well. It's called a basal cutting, and I will show that when the time is right. So I hope you have enjoyed seeing what dahlias I'm going to grow, and if you could like or subscribe, that would be great, because then it helps other people find the content. And I will see you again soon in my garden.